Hey everyone, Jeff Sartre from the Practical Drummer here. I'm going to show you a 2-bar phrase, drum groove, using a displaced 2/3 opening on the hi-hat. Okay, so it's going to be a nice crisp hi-hat sound where you open on one beat and close on the next 16th note. So in this case, let's say we open on the E, one E and, it's right after the hit. So you get that nice crisp sound. Okay? This groove is going to start on the E of 1, which is interesting. I'm going to show you that in a minute, the polyrhythm, but I'm going to just get the groove going first. You've got, this is the first time I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to play eighth notes on the left foot. Okay, so the first time I saw this was in 1992 when I was at school at PIT in Hollywood, California. And I remember one of the first days seeing a drummer play on stage and just playing left foot on eighth notes. And to me that was like, wow, blew my mind. And so I've developed this over the years, and I think you should too. It's really fascinating. Instead of just playing, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, I want you to emulate that with the left foot too. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So you're playing all eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3. Now snare drum 2 and 4. 1. So the bass drum is just on the 1 and the and of 1, the 3 and the and of 3. Very basic. But again, you want to make sure that goes with the feet. Right? So it goes with the left foot, both feet. Okay? So that's the groove, but now what I want to do is add in this polyrhythmic left hand. Now it's going to be pretty easy in the fact that as we're pedaling all eighth notes, if we add an E or a da in, it's going to create that sound already because you're already pedaling the quarter notes and the ands. So in fact, if I wanted to add an E in, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. See, I just added the E of 1. I just hit the E of 1, and I'm already closing on the and. So that work's done. You don't have to think about it, okay? In this case, we're starting the polyrhythm, which is a 2/3, or the dotted quarter note. Usually it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? But instead of starting on the 1, I'm going to start on the E of 1. So it's going to be displaced. So now it's going to be E's and does. And now it's going to be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, back to 1. Okay? So if I'm counting eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4, 1 and 3, 4. Okay, so that's the polyrhythm. The E of 1, the da of 2, the E of 4, the da of 1 on the next measure, the E of 3, and then the da of 4. And that's the 2-measure phrase that we're going to add in. And I'm going to show you this right now. So if we get this going. Okay, one more time. Here we go. Okay, so what you saw there is the only time I had to bring the snare drum with the right hand is when I played a da or an E just before or after the snare drum. In this case, it's 1 E and, so I'll count 16 notes. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. See that? 4 E. Instead of 4 E, I could do that. It's a little bit awkward. So to make it a little bit easier, I just bring my snare hand now here, and so I'm free to do the E. So 4 E and, right? And then the next one is the da of 1 in the next measure. So that would be 1E and 1E and 2. See that? So that's it. 4E and 1E and 1E and 2. Okay, so that's it. So it gets a little wonky, but you got to just figure it out. So again, the only time my hand comes off the right hand hi-hat is on the 4 and on the 2. The other 2 and 4, the first 2 of the first measure and then the 4 of the second measure is on the left hand, okay? So once you get that, you can be free to play it and up the tempo. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so that was 2 measures. But what I'm going to do is at the end of that measure, the second measure, I want to go back to the first measure. But in order to do that, I need to go 4 E and okay, so that's 4 E and 1. But now it starts again to the E. Okay, so I just want to start those 2 measures over again. Because if we were going to extend the polyrhythm, it would go to the E of 2, and that's not what we want. I'm going to just start it back up on the E of 1. Sounds like this, and I'll show you to you slow. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I just lost it. I made it one time through, as you can see. I'm just coming up with this right just before I press play. So this is what you have to do. You're gonna have to grapple with it. In that case, I should have come down with the left hand on the snare, but I came down with the right, and it threw me off. Okay, so you got to really think of, and I knew once I did it, I knew it didn't feel right. Because I know where everything's supposed to hit, theoretically. It's just training your body to do it, right? Like I said, you're only bringing the right hand down on the snare on the 4 and the 2 of the next measure. The first 2 is the left hand, and then the last 4, 4 is on the snare drum as well. So it's a little bit dicey. But you heard that the first time I made it a 4-bar phrase, it was perfect. And I got to 4 E and da, and then I went back to the E of 1 and started it all over again. Otherwise, it would be it would be 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and. So we don't want to do that. We want to lop it off and start it over again, okay? So I'll play that again, a little bit slower. Again, I advocate if you can't get it through 10 times in a row, slow it down. And that's what I'm going to do on live TV here. 1 and 2 and ready and play. And 1 and 2 and ready and play and. Okay, so there it was a few times around. Slow, I got it. In my body, I can understand it. It feels right. I know the right hands are hitting at the right times. I'm hitting the right polyrhythm. The E of 1, the da of 2, the E of 4, the da of 1, the E of 3, and the da of 4. Okay? And then I go back to the E of 1. Everything else is the same. Okay, it's just adding the left hand now that makes the polyrhythm, the sound of the polyrhythm. It's kind of boring just to play. That second time through sounded pretty cool, okay? And it's really not that hard once you get the hang of where it should fit, okay? So that's it for now. I know struggled a little bit in this video, but I want to show you guys, and this is the premise of my teaching, is it's not going to be perfect the first time you come up with this thing. You're going to have to practice it over and over and over again. And so I'm going to shut the video off, and I'm going to practice it so I can get it up to speed. And then next time we'll do another pattern, and I'll throw another fill in there as well, okay? Take care. Thanks a lot.